Welcome to another episode of the Hoop Post Talk Show with your host, Chris Ramirez. And today our guest is the judge, Pierre Turner, who worked for years in the New York City courts. And mainly he was the coach, also a mentor in the New York City basketball community, especially with Aim High. He's going to share his story with us. Welcome, Pierre, and thank you for coming on. We like to give you your honor for what you did in the game.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. And we're going to get it started here. And I just want to know, you grew up in the New York City area. Talk about where in the area you grew up and what was it like?
Well, I was born in New York. I moved to Chicago, back to the Bronx, to LA, back to Queens. So I moved to Queens in 1965, my last year in high school. Moved to Left Rack City. And at that time, I was more of a football and track participant. Came to New York, and of course, in New York, you got to get involved in basketball. So 1965, I started getting involved in basketball. I wasn't good enough to play on certain teams. It took me about 2-3 years to really bring my game up to a level where I could compete on the New York level. And went to New York City Community College in Brooklyn, where I learned a lot about basketball from a lot of guys in Brooklyn. And from there, I went to Hunter College, actually made the team twice. Wasn't fortunate enough to stay on the team because I had a bad attitude. And but I graduated, and the basketball was in me. I couldn't get that out of me. That was in me. Went on to law school. From law school, I came back to New York. I actually taught school before I took the bar and started working for the New York City court system. But all through the New York experience, I was madly in love with basketball. We played all over the city, and we did pretty well competing, and I just wanted to play and play and play. And as I got older, of course, we played at the Lost Battalion Hall in Queens. That was our home. And we got people from Brooklyn, South Jamaica, Rockaway, Queens, Manhattan. A lot of the better players came through there. So it was a great experience back in the day.
Yes, we're going to get into Lost Battalion Hall because I know that's a thing I want to share, I want to know about too. And
okay.
Also, another thing too, your final year was at Newtown, correct?
Newtown was my last year, yes. I did a year at Newtown, ran track. Very interesting experience because in California, I only needed one class to graduate. When I came to New York, they made me take a full day of classes, and I hated it.
Wow.
And I stayed in trouble. And I want to get, two things happen. I want to get a job at UPS working at night to help my mother. And I figured I could go to school part-time and get my high school diploma. When I went to work, tried to work at UPS, they gave me a physical. And they said they couldn't accept me because I had a bad heart. I hadn't planned on going to college. I want to work. I said, I'll start at UPS. I can probably make a career for myself. Well, because of the bad heart, they wouldn't hire me. And because of my poor attitude in school, the guidance counselor, I never forget his name, Mr. Paris. One day I was getting ready to get into a fight. And he said, I looked at your records. You're not the idiot you act like. You know, what's your problem? My position was, look, I'm not going to fight in school. You can't do a thing about what I do after school. He said, yes, I can. You just turned 18. I can have the police come and they could arrest you. And you don't want to go that route. The other is I can get you into this program called College Discovery, where you can go to school for free. They'll give you a stipend. They'll give you books, et cetera, et cetera. Which door do you want to choose? And at that point, my mind just said, you know what? Stop being an idiot. And I chose College Discovery, and it changed my life. So the bad turned into the good. Had I gone to work at UPS, I never would have become a lawyer. I never would have gone to college. And by the way, I didn't have a bad heart. So the man upstairs just kept blessing me, blessing me, blessing me.
Man.
Yeah, and that's what happened.
Yes, and it's so amazing how you just put your mind, you're saying, I'm going to take, you made the right choice and took the route where you want to further your education.
Yeah.
Not
And
only,
by the way, we did win the track championship that year in Queens in Newtown. We beat Jackson High School,
all
which had
right,
a great, great track team. Julio Meade was a fantastic runner from Jackson, very extraordinary guy. And nevertheless, that year, Newtown was the Queens champion in track and field.
all right. Now, let me ask you, at Newtown High School, I know some history. I just recently had Mike Saunders, a longtime trainer for the Knicks, an alumni of Newtown High School.
Okay, I didn't know that. Wow,
Yes.
I didn't know that.
So he was, and also another player you probably was around. I don't know if he was ahead of you or the same time, Rolling Rooks.
Brooks was, I want to say, a year ahead of me, I believe. I think he came out in 65, I think.
Yeah,
I came out in 66. I was only there 1 year.
I understand. Yes, rest in peace to Rolling Rooks. He was part of Newtown, played in basketball, a long-time referee.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
His son was played in the league for a long time. God bless his soul, Sean Brooks.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And Bruddy Robinson played there too. I don't know if you know Bruddy. Bruddy
Mhm.
Robinson. He refs now. He went to school with Dave Edwards' father at down in Virginia at oh my goodness in Richmond. I know where Bruddy went to school. Boy, I can't even think about it. It'll come to me. Virginia Commonwealth. He and
Oh,
Big Dave Edwards, older Dave, they went to school together.
I met him a few
He
times.
was a hell of a player, Bruddy. And Dave was as well. Big Dave was as well.
Wonderful. Yes. And you grew, so tell me some good ball players out of that during your time. Besides, I know I mentioned Roland Brooks at Newtown. I know you moved to Left Rack City back in 1965. Any ball players that was good in that time?
See, I didn't know at that time. I went to Queensbridge and met a lot of good ball players.
Okay.
Queensbridge had a bunch of players back then, a bunch
Yes.
of guards, too many to name. Well, Roy Beekman and Ray Martin were actually younger then. They were like 14. And then there were a group of guys, Mancho, Mancho Alvarez. You had the Hooper twins. You had Richard Ballard. Yeah, they just came. They were in droves over there. Droves of players came out of Queensbridge back then. Vern Fleming. So many, I just can't think of them all right now. Frank
Johnson.
Smith,
Oh,
Dwayne Johnson. Yeah, just a bunch of players. But that came later. By that time I was just I might have been in law school then,
okay.
college and law school. Yeah.
So let's go and talk about law school. You went to Howard University to
Yes,
law.
I did. Yes, I
What
did.
was that experience like?
Great. I mean, for a young black man coming into Howard University, it's like dying to go into heaven. You know, I never experienced when I was coming along. You know, all the guys would say they don't want to go to Howard. That's a bourgeois school. You know, I'm not bourgeois. You know, I'm more of a street kind of guy, and I don't identify with that stuff and that. Whole bunch of nonsense. But it was in your head. When you walked on the campus, you saw black doctors, black lawyers, black engineers, black architects, black ministers, just a whole group of people just in all kind of fields, experts in their fields, just a wonderful experience. You didn't know that many black people existed on that level. And not to mention the women. The women were extraordinary, amazing, all colors, sizes, just beautiful, beautiful. It's a great environment.
Yes.
Great environment. It helped me grow tremendously.
Yes. One of the top-notch HBCUs.
Yep. And when I finished, I had a friend of mine, he's not here now. Sam Pons was his name. And he was from Exeter Academy. He had gone to school here. He had gone to school there. He was more of an elitist type black. And one day he was saying to me, you know, welcome to the black bourgeoisie. And I said, no. I'm not a part of this black bourgeoisie. He said to me, I met you in 1971 when you enrolled at Howard University School of Law. We graduated together in 1974 from Howard University School of Law. And maybe when you came in 1971, you were not part of the Black bourgeoisie. Oh, but you're part of the Black bourgeoisie now, and you'll be recognized as such. So own it. And
All right.
owned it.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And now you graduate from law school. You went into the New York City court system.
Yes.
Just talk about the court system and the experience you had during that journey.
Well, I have to start out by saying the man upstairs again. I have a very good friend, Barry Hill. And Barry was coming, he came to Howard, my first year of law school, he came down to get his master's. And one day he came over to the law school to observe some classes, decided to go to law school. Incidentally, his brother is Armand Hill, a great player, came out of Brooklyn, played at Princeton's, coached in the league and so on and so forth. Right now he's with Indiana, University of Indiana. And Barry had a position with the chief judge of the criminal court and the Supreme Court citywide, Justice Sandifer. And Judge Sandifer, Barry called me when I passed the bar exam. He saw my name in the law journal. And I was teaching, waiting for my bar results. And he said, welcome to the bar. He said, you got to give me your resume. I said, well, Barry, I'm teaching, I'm doing, he said, send me your resume. I sent him the resume. I get a call about 2 days later from a judge in the Bronx, Judge William Logan. When can you come to see me? I said, tomorrow? He said, that's fine. I go to see him. He said, I need someone like you who's been involved with young people because I agonize over sentencing of young people. I need someone to give me some guidance on what's going on out here with the young people. He said, and when can you start? We had been about 10 minutes into the conversation. When can you start? You pass the bar, when you get admitted, so and so. I said, Judge, this is mind-boggling. I'm happy to believe and to think that you would want me to come, in your midst, let alone work for you. This is mind-boggling, but why me? Man upstairs. My name is Pierre Binga Turner. Coming up, I hated Pierre and I hated Binga. The kids used to call me P in the air. Get in fights, P in the air, P in the air. You know how kids can be.
Yes.
The middle name Binga, it sounded African. And we were coming up, that wasn't a good thing. You don't want to be called black, and you don't want to definitely be called African. That's the way it was when we were kids in the 50s. So he said, your middle name is Binga. I said, yes. He said, you belong here. I said, Judge, I'm not following you. He said, who are you named after? I said, Dr. Binga Desmond. He was a doctor in Harlem, very prominent doctor. And he told my mother to give me that name, give me his first name as my middle name, and give me the first name, Pierre, because he had a love affair with Haiti, and Papa Doc was a friend of his, which later on I had to get some understanding about that, which I did. Because Papa Doc back in those days was a great man. He wasn't the Papa Doc who became, the problem Papa Doc later on. So he said, when I saw your name in the resume, I knew there had to be a connection, and I knew you had to be with me. Now, how does that happen without the man upstairs? Changed my whole life, just my name. So I started working with him, great experience. 2.5 years I worked for him. He retired. I then went down to Supreme Court in Manhattan, actually criminal court. I was in the pool. For about 6 months. And then one of the judges, Supreme Court judge, Justice Tom Dickens, asked me to come work for him, which was a big honor. He had been around since before the Supreme Court started. There was a Court of General Sessions. He was that far back and very well respected. And when I went to work for him, he became ill and he had to retire. And prior to him retiring, Judge Sandifer, who Barry had worked for originally, asked me to work for him. And I wound up working for 2 judges at the same time for about 6 months.
Wow.
Judge Sandifer, we were together about 9 years. About 8 of those years, we were in what's called the appellate term court in Manhattan, takes appeals from the criminal court and the civil court of the city of New York. You can't have a better experience than that. And as a part of that experience, we took appeals from the criminal and civil court, as I said, but we also had a part where we were assigned to where we did discovery. We would get other cases from time to time that we had to resolve, cases and controversies that we had to resolve. And some of the best cases you can imagine for someone to have to get his hands into to learn about the judicial system. One case in particular, we'll get to basketball later, was very important. It was a case where the sanitation department was thinking about bringing women in to work as sanitation workers. And the union was vehemently opposed to that. They didn't want the female workers to come in. And the judge said to me, he said, Pierre, you were raised by your mother to a point in time, then you had to leave and you were here and you had to live there because your mother couldn't take care of you, right? I said, yes, we moved around the family members and so on and so forth. What if your mother could have gotten a job like that where, yes, she got her hands dirty, but she got great benefits and could take care of her family and keep the family together? Wouldn't that have meant something to you? I said, oh God, yes. He said, I was raised in North Carolina. He said, my mother had to do, all kinds of jobs. She had to wash people's clothes. She had to, just take in all kinds of jobs, part-time here, part-time there, domestic, everything she could to keep us together in North Carolina. My mother would have loved to have a civil service job like that. He said, what am I saying? I'm saying to you, write that decision, find a way to make it stand up on appeal, and let's try to find some women who want to work in these positions. So we wrote the decision, and they appealed it. It was upheld on appeal. The first female sanitation workers were hired. And one of them actually became a boss, I understand. And those are great jobs. And one of the arguments they used against the women was that they had to carry cans. They had gotten rid of the cans. You may be younger now, but back in the day, the garbage trucks, they had to pick up cans and throw them into the trucks. By the time we had the decision, they weren't doing that anymore. So that was just a way you could affect somebody's life being in the court system. And that was a great moment.
Correct. And that is just a great testimony right there. Because we know women just could do the same, have the same capabilities as
right.
man has.
About raising a family, having benefits, an opportunity to have and as opposed to have not. And they're willing to do it, and they did it. They proved they could do it.
And you see a lot of them doing that type of physical work.
Right. And not opposed to it. They just want a decent living.
Correct. A decent living. Plus they get skills too.
Right. And benefits.
Yes. Now we know that's important. Yeah. That was a great testimony. It was a great, just show that we open up for females too.
Okay. That's right. That's right.
And I'm glad thank you for sharing that.
Okay.
Yes. Definitely you retired from there, correct?
Well, yeah, after Judge Sandifer retired, I became a housing court judge for 17 years. And I loved it. Great, great experience. And I worked mostly in the Bronx, where I thought I might not want to work, but actually I didn't want to leave once I got to the Bronx. The Bronx is basically a borough of a lot of poor people. And again, I was able to make some changes and do some things and help a lot of people avoid being evicted while not abusing landlords at the same time. We found a medium where we could work with the landlords, with the tenants, and basically save shelter. What happens when somebody goes in the criminal court and they get incarcerated? It's not a great thing. Please don't misunderstand me. But you get 3 meals a day and you have shelter. When you get evicted, you're out there. You're on your own. You're in the elements. So it's not a good thing to see a family evicted. That's one of the things you don't want to do. I've had members of my family evicted. It's not a beautiful thing to see somebody walking out of a place with nowhere to go. So I took that very seriously. And I had 17 great years there. I really enjoyed it.
And thank you for sharing that. That's a different side I'm getting to learn about you for a lot of years that I've known you. And, we saw that side of how you became an impact in the system.
Yes.
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 Thank you so much. And had, what if 17 years? That's an accomplishment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, we're gonna move on, and we just want to know you got into coaching, and just share with us what got you into coaching basketball.
Here we go again. I'm in Lost Battalion Hall in there, shooting jump shots, boxing out. Games were really physical, just because you didn't want to lose. If you lost, you had to wait. So
Yes.
we talked Lost Battalion. That was very, very serious, especially on the weekend. And I'm playing and I'm playing. I'm getting older, I'm getting older, but I'm still playing. I'm still playing, and still loving it. And one day, I don't know if you remember Howie Lawrence. Did you know Howie Lawrence?
No, he doesn't
Howie
remember.
Lawrence was a man, a great guy. He worked for Con Ed, drove a cab part time. And the money he brought in from the cab, as well as his job, he would help kids go to school. In fact, he helped pay half of the tuition for Kenny Anderson at Malloy.
Wow.
You would see him and you would think he didn't have a penny to his name, but he always had plenty of money. Beautiful home out in Jamaica. But he just loved helping kids. That was his thing. He worked and he didn't have any children of his own. He wasn't married, but his whole life was around helping kids. And one day, Vincent wanted me to coach, Vincent Smith, Kenny's brother. I said, Vince, I'm not doing no coaching. No, I'm not, I ain't got time for that. So one day, Howie says to me, you may remember him because he would talk and speak as if he was singing. And he said, Pierre. I said, what do you want, Howie? I want you to start coaching the kids. They need you. The jump shot's not going to fall forever. And you're a lawyer. The kids, they look up to you. I said, Howie, don't bother me. I'm not doing no coaching. You're going to have to eventually. I'm going to keep bothering you until you agree. Until you agree. So one day, about 5 o'clock in the morning, my doorbell rings. And 5 o'clock in the morning, your bell rings, you get startled. I run downstairs to the front door and say, he's standing there with a cab outside, eating a corn in the cob with butter running all down his face. I said, Howie, first thing I want to know, where'd you get the corn in the cob? I got my ways. I said, Howie, what do you want? I told you, I found out where you live. I'm going to keep hounding you until you agree to coach. I said, Howie, I'll coach. Please, don't ring my bell again. Don't ring my bell again this hour of the morning, please. Thought so. I see you in the gym. And that's how I got into coaching. And Vincent was behind it, Vincent Smith. He couldn't get me to do it. So he got Howie to do it. And I never looked back. I'm so glad Howie got me into coaching.
Just talk about the runs at Lost Battalion Hall. We know it's right there in Queens. I remember being there a couple of times. Just talk about the runs over there.
Oh man, those are great runs, man. You had guys from all over the city, as I said, would come out there and just, to see how they fared. And we'd get 40 projects. We got Queensbridge, we got Baisley, got some of the best ball players in Queens, and the G train. Don't forget, back then it ran into Brooklyn. So you had Fort Greene, Farragut, Marcy. They came on the G train line. It was a local line, right to 63rd Drive or Woodhaven. You walk right down to the battalion, and it was free. And by the way, downstairs they had boxing, and they had ping pong, but the basketball was off the chain, especially on the weekends in the winter. Oh my goodness! And the thing about it that I think you had every now and then you had a little altercation. People were talking trash, threatening to fight, but you never had any major altercations like you did later on, like in let's say the 90s and 2000s. We played basketball. Okay. And a lot of tough guys came through there, but they came through to play basketball. They didn't come through to fight and threaten all of that. No. Okay. They came to play ball. And it was a great, great experience. Great experience. And they could play ball.
Of course. Yes. A lot of intense moments there at LBH.
Yeah.
Yes.
The one court by Burger King, the Burger King side. That was the court.
Yes. Yeah, I remember going in my first time with the Pro-Am.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Watkins, Cecil Watkins, God bless his soul, from Elmore, started an NBA program, had a couple of games there at Lost Battalion.
Oh yeah, I remember. You know, we won the 3-on-3 contest that Cecil started with Budweiser.
Is that right? All right.
Yeah, my cousin Kevin Bass,
Kevin
George
Back.
Rodney Abrams, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah, we won the whole thing. We won it out in Tahoe, Lake Tahoe. We went about three times. I think we went up there about three times.
Long Island Stars.
Well, that's you're talking about Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin Bass, George
Hey,
Abrams, his
yeah,
brother Rodney,
that's
rest
right.
in peace.
Wow, you're pretty good.
Yes. I'm back in the 80s here.
Fun fact, yeah.
Yes. And
Damn, my goodness. John Pitts, remember Pitts from Hempstead?
I
He was
remember that
he was
name.
on the team with them with Kevin and them.
Okay.
He went to school with the Admiral with from the Celtics. They went to school together. The big man for the Celtics. Oh, what's his name now? They went to school in Louisiana together. I speak to Pitts still.
Robert
I speak to
Parrish.
George. Robert Parrish. Yeah, and Pitts went to school with him. And George and I speak all the time. You know, we lost Rodney, of course, Kevin.
Right.
Kevin was my brother. He was like my cousin. He was like my little brother. Yeah. I mean,
Yes.
we miss him. Oh, we miss him.
Yeah.
He's still on the all-time list that I own. He's number 6 on the all-time scoring list that I own still.
Wow. What a blessing.
Baby.
And yes, and I remember those days. And also, we know that you have that relationship with Vincent Smith.
That's my little brother. We talk every day about 3 or 4 times a day.
Yes.
That's my little brother.
Yeah, you had a connection with him for so many years. Share that connection you and Vince had.
Well, when I started going to community college, our game got a lot better. And Vincent was like a little brother, literally. My mother worked in the cleaners, and every day he'd come by. Is Pierre here? Vincent, he's in school. He'd come by again. Vincent, he's going to school. He goes to school in Brooklyn. He'll be home soon, so on and so forth. One day my mother said, "Do you have a son? I mean, excuse me, a brother I don't know about?" He said, "Vincent, act like he's your little brother." And he just he'd always come around he had a pen in his hand and a pad. And he'd always have a cap in his glasses. And he had basketball questions all the time. How do you do this? Why do you do this? When do you do that? And we just started coming together and just, had a love of basketball and just kept studying and sharing and teaching each other. And he got to be very, very good at it. And that's basically all Vincent did. He stayed in the gym and worked with kids.
Right.
But to find Vince, go to Lost Battalion on the side basket. He'd find him. As long as the gym was open. Yeah.
Now you got into coaching into the program called Aim High.
Yes.
How did you share about how did you get into coaching at Aim High?
Well, I did more training than I did coaching and teaching. I did some coaching. I let Vincent and Kevin Jackson were basically our coaches. We had it was a lady named Carol O'Connell out of Long Island City, and they used to play out at the Boys Club over on 21st Street. And it was Carol O'Connell, Green, Tyrone Green. We started getting Artie Cox. We started coming together and putting teams together, taking some of our kids, some of their kids, so on and so forth. And eventually we decided to just, go on our own and decided to start our own program, so to speak. And I decided on the name Aim High because it was simple. We wanted to aim high. Okay. Not that you want to aim low. We wanted to aim high. We wanted to have standards. And we wanted to look for the bigger picture. And we still shared players with Carol. Carol was a probation officer.
Okay.
She dealt with a lot of young men and she tried to change a lot of lives. And she did. She changed a lot of lives. And Kevin Jackson was involved with her initially. And then Kevin came over to us. By the way, Kevin is the best recruiter you can have. I mean, he'd go to the mountains of the Himalayas to find a player. And he brought a lot of players through. And Vincent was primarily dealing with training And when I wasn't working, we'd be in the gym together training. And if we weren't in the gym together training, we were watching games. And I think they came out with a new Betamax or one of those machines back in the day where you could actually you could watch games and you could stop them and rewind and go back. We used to go crazy watching games and tearing them up and looking them over and trying to figure this out. What did he do there? What did he do? That's all we did. And we just got and we'd go to games and go watch watch college games and just basically dissected the games and have skull sessions. And we had skull sessions with each other. We'd have skull sessions with the players and so forth. So we thought we had to teach the game from a whole different level, not just on the court, but also we believe in teaching the game above the neck, having the kids being able to think through problems, problem solve. And that's what we did. And then Vincent had a great relationship with Coach Curran at Malloy. And Coach, was a pretty damn good coach. We had our issues, but he was a really good coach and really good teacher. And learned a lot from him as well that we utilized later on in our program. But we had a lot of fun. We didn't have a lot of money initially. We had to, pinch pennies. And back then, we didn't go into a lot of tournaments. We just, it was local. A local tournament here, the citywide here, citywide there. You might go in the Docks tournament in Manhattan. We had a few tournaments. We played in them. We got enough tournaments in. It was not like today where you're traveling off everywhere all around the country to play. And quite frankly, I don't think you need that. We had great players, and most of them played locally. And every now and then, they would go play with the Gauchos, or they'd go play with Riverside. Like Kenny, Kenny Anderson.
Yes.
We were playing the citywide championship against Riverside. And he played with Riverside. And he played with us when we had games. He played with them as well when they traveled. And so now it comes up, we're playing Riverside in the citywide championship in Queens. And he says to me, I'm playing with the church. You know that, right? I said, I know. You have no problem with that? No. Why not? I said, well, it makes everything easier. What are you talking about? Family doesn't play against family. So if you play with them, it's clear to me that you're not really family. He said, what am I saying? I can't play against the family. I said, oh, now you're getting it. So he played with us. We beat them by 1 point. They had Malik Sealy, Brian Reese, Adrian Autry. It was another guy that had a team that was pretty good. He was a top Division I player. We had Kenny and Oliver Taylor in our backcourt. Remember Oliver Taylor from Far Rock?
Oliver Taylor, yes.
Pretty jump shot. That was our backcourt. In
Yes.
fact, Oliver's cousin, Stacy, played with us as well.
Okay.
Stacy Castle. Stacy went down to Wake Forest to play with the big man.
Rodney Rogers.
No, Duncan. To play with Duncan.
Okay.
He was there for a year, but he and Odom didn't get along. I forget where he went after that. But his son is playing with Connecticut now. Stefan Castle.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Stefan. He's a hell of a player. I like his game.
That's Stacy's son. That's Oliver's cousin. And
Now,
by the way, you see who's coaching there, right?
Yes, Danny Hurley and the assistant, one of your guys, Kamani Young.
Young, there you go. All right. And what happened, the way it went down, Kamani called me one day, said, yo, P, man, we got to get Stacy's son, man. You got to see he's real good. We got to get him. You got to call Stacy. So we're playing in citywide one year. We had a 3-on-3 with Cecil in the Bronx. I get down to the citywide championship in Manhattan against Riverside, and Kevin's losing by 9 with 3 minutes to go. He's ready to throw the towel in. I said, Kevin, the game, that lady didn't sing yet. And I said, you got Sean Titus. You remember Sean Titus?
Don't remember.
Went to Forest Hills. Then he went to Hofstra.
Okay.
Back then, he was probably the best defender in the city. So you got him sitting on the bench. Oh, I said, put him in the game. Rip, 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 rip. Game's tied. Now, Stacy's like, I can't see. I can't see. Stacy, what's wrong? You wearing contacts? Take him out. I got some contact solution. It takes nothing. Nothing's in this eye. You must have lost it. Take the other one out. Takes the other one out. He had 2 in one eye. So That's why he couldn't see. So I called him. I said, Stacy, you still wear two contacts in one eye? He said, oh, hell, Kamani's taking all the stops now. He's signing. He's going to Connecticut. Don't worry, he's going to Connecticut. So it's still, the family still continues, We had another young man, AD. You know AD. You know AD, Gaffney.
Oh, Adolphus Gaffney, yes.
His son also went to play with Kamani in Connecticut. And
Right.
one reason or another, it didn't work after 2 years. He's doing really well now down in Florida Atlantic. But we also got involved in that recruit, had to call him up and said, yeah, the family, man, this family is something else. We stick together, don't we? So I mean, it's been a great thing. We got Talik Brown, one of our kids. He's with Rick Pitino at St. John's.
Yes.
At Connecticut. Lavelle Sanders played with us. I don't know if you remember Lavelle, played at Seton Hall. He's at Binghamton.
Okay.
40, Dwayne Woodward was involved at some point in time with us, off and on. He's at Rhode Island. So we're proud of, we're proud of that. We're proud that some of our kids have made it to the big time in coaching and doing well. And they're gonna do better. And don't forget, Shaheem Holloway, he played with us. In fact, Shaheem, two things. He played with us, then he went over to St. Patrick's in Jersey, and he started playing with them. So we had a game against them, and he was giving us the business. He was killing us. And I looked over, I said, wait a minute. Come here, Ron. Ron Artest. Run. I call him Run. People call him Ron. I call him Run. Come here, Run. He was a sophomore at LaSalle playing with Shamgar. And Mike, not Mike, I'll say Mike's brother, oh boy, from Queensbridge. I know his name, but no moment. Anyway, I said, come here. You see Shaheem? He said, yeah. Look at your wingspan. He said, yeah. I said, put your forearm in his chest and put that arm out. Don't let him touch the ball. He said, okay. And I said, by the way, if you see a good shot, take it. Because at that time, he was shy about shooting the ball. So he went in the game and Shaheem couldn't touch the ball again. We won the game. End of the game, he comes over. Whose idea was it to put him on me? I said, mine. He said, shit, I knew it. He couldn't score. That's when Ron started playing defense. But he gave us a big shout out when they went to the Sweet 16. Kenny asked him on TV, Kenny Smith asked him, man, what do you attribute this to, your success? He said, Kenny, I had Vincent and Pierre Turner teaching me the game when I was a little kid in Jamaica. Come on now. You know how we do. You know how we do. That's what he said. And that's how we do. Our practices were worse than our games.
Of course.
No blood, no foul. You know how that works.
Yes.
So that's how we did it, rough. And every now and then I'd go against the kids one-on-one. And I would, look, if you can't beat me, you're not Division I. You can't beat this guy damn near 40 years old. You're not Division I. So they would bring it at me. They would bring it to me. And one experience I'll never forget. Raheem, we call him Raheem Manchild. Raheem Johnston. Remember Raheem?
Yes, I remember Raheem.
It was Vincent's stepson, okay?
Yes, I remember.
Vincent, well, son, he's got two fathers, Vincent and his real biological father, Bird. We call him Bird. So Raheem would not play defense. He could score at will. In fact, he was better than Reggie Jesse, Lamar, and Ron Artest when they were like in the 9th grade. He didn't want to work. So he was getting ready to leave to go to, I think, Maine Central, like the next day. So I came up to the gym to say, say goodbye, have a good trip and do well, so-and-so. So the gym was closed, and Sam, who at that time ran the gym, and Vincent, myself, and Raheem were in the gym getting ready to leave. He said, Pierre, where you going? I said, I came to say goodbye, see you when you get back. No, you're not leaving. I'm not leaving. You're going to play me before I leave. I'm going to play you before I leave. You can't beat me, Raheem. He said, I'm not leaving New York till I beat you. I said, you got to go to school, Raheem. You got to go to school. I said, you can't beat me. In my mind, I thought he couldn't beat me because I knew how he played. He wasn't going to play hard. He wasn't going to chase the ball. He wasn't going to run. So I was talking trash. So Vincent goes in the office with Sam, and they just said, oh, God, let them go at it. I take a shot. I think if I miss it, I'll run and get the rebound. He's not going to run. I take the shot. I miss it. He runs and gets the rebound. I said, what do we have here? He said, I've been holding back on you. I can play defense. I just haven't been playing defense. He wanted to beat me by about 6 or 7 points. I said, you son of a gun. He could play. He could do it all. He just didn't want to do it all. And I said, you do it all, there's nobody can stop you. He was dope. That's why they called him the man child. But he was special. He's still special to me.
And where did he end up playing college at? Did he?
Providence.
He went up to okay.
Yeah. I only think he stayed. Raheem stayed a year or two. He just didn't want to work. He was so good at an early age.
Yes.
Those situations where sometimes it's great, sometimes it's bad. You're too good too soon. You don't think you have to work. You know, and he didn't think he had to put the real, because he thought I could score. But on that level, it ain't about just scoring. You and I know that. And then you gain the weight and so on and so forth. So most kids are like that. It's human nature.
Yeah. And I remember, yeah, and I remember watching him because me and Vincent, Roy, and we all worked at Elmcore because Vincent worked at Elmcore for some time.
He was down in the gym. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, so he was working with at PS. He was always talking about Raheem and his protection.
Right. Yeah.
And I moved on, and later on I moved on and lost track of them. And I was just wondering what happened to Raheem. I liked his game. He had the size.
Oh, he was special back then. You couldn't stop him. That's why they called him man child. He could get a basket whenever he wanted to.
Yeah.
Couldn't be stopped. But he would not play defense. He wasn't going to play defense, and he wasn't going to be in shape. You know, but great kid. Everybody loves Raheem. It's like, and that was the other thing. Everybody loved him. So you just figure I could do what I want. It was bad in the long run. Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you had aim high, don't realize everybody talks about Riverside and the Gauchos, all these great players. You guys had some great players. You had God Sham God.
Yeah. Lamar Odom.
Lamar, yes.
Run. We had them, and quite frankly, we weren't, fooling outside. We didn't have the money they had. So we couldn't travel. So when it came time for Lamar to go to school, at that time, we had an issue with Coach Kern. We weren't speaking. Otherwise, Lamar probably would have gone to Malloy. We put him in Christ the King. And then once he was in Christ the King, we kind of lost him because, the money guys came after him. And Run kind of stayed a little closer to us. We had Skip to Malou.
Played for Austin, yes.
Austin. We had a bunch of players. We had Daniel from Boston College, Daniel from Westchester.
Yeah.
That's George and Rodney's nephew.
Oh, I remember that.
That's family. That's family. And I talk to him every now and then still. He's doing well. He's living in Boston, doing really well. Bobby Moran played at Boston College. He's doing well.
I remember that. They had a good team in those 90s and 2000s.
Yeah. We had some trying to think. We had a long list of them. That's all I could say. Really play. We had Crafton Ferguson, Jamal Phillips. Yes. They were special. Stephen Frazier. Stephen Frazier would have been a pro. His knees didn't mess up on him. He went to Malloy. You may not remember. The last year, his junior year, he had an issue with his grades. He went to summer school. They passed him. The school wouldn't readmit him. He went to Jackson and scored 39 a game.
Wow.
And then he went down to Miami and he just blew out both knees, one behind the other. But great player. Jason Gilliam, another one.
Yes.
Yeah. Abdul Fox.
Yes. Abdul, yes, I remember.
Yeah.
Yes.
It goes on and on. I was talking to someone yesterday who was coaching out in Long Island, Upper Room, starting a program, trying to build the program back up. And he also has a prep program called 238. So he called me yesterday. So I got a really good kid. I shouldn't be telling that kid. 8th grade. He's going. Yeah. And his uncle, he was telling me he played with Aim High. And I said, well, they're close to me. He said, oh, you definitely got him now. And he went back to Bob Deck. I don't know if you remember Bob Deck. Bob Deck was out of Richmond Hill. Bob used to coach with us also. He played for Bob Deck. And then we had Rhonda. Rhonda helped us sometimes with the boys, even though she was a woman. She had that motherly approach where she would take the kids in their arms after I curse them out. She would grab them and hug them.
Yes, I remember her.
We had to come at all. I'm sorry.
We keep in touch.
Keep in touch. Good, good.
Yes.
Good people. Good people. And then we had Kenny Anderson.
Yes.
He was special. He was. Sometimes, when you around a kid like that, you don't, you're in the midst, you don't realize how good he is. And you look back and you say, he was better than I even imagined he was. He was special. He was special. He could really play. He just had a gift. God touched him.
Yes.
Amazing, amazing. So who else do we have? Shamgar. Kamani could play. Kamani went, interesting story. Kamani knew I went to Howard to law school, and I was trying to bring students into the HBCU. So somehow we got in touch with Butch Beard. He was coaching at Howard.
I remember him, coach.
Yeah, you need to come up and see this kid. We think he can play at Howard. We think he could help you. And then once he goes, we can get the pipeline going. So he comes up to Lost Battalion. Kamani works out for him. And he says, I don't believe he can play in the MEAC. Coach. What? He's not good enough to play in the MEAC.
Wow.
So where did he go? He went to LIU for 1 year.
Yeah.
Right? And then where did he go? El Paso for 3 years.
That's right.
For the Bear. Did really well at El Paso. But he couldn't play at the MEAC? You see?
I don't understand that.
Oh, man. And we tried to help bring students to the HBCUs. And we knew, I said, once Kamani goes, because everybody loved Kamani back then as well. Kamani goes, the rest will follow. He said he's not good enough. And I said, with all due respect, you were a great pro. You're a great college player. But coach, you're not seeing it. You're not seeing it. I don't understand what you're missing. Kamani was a good 6'4", and he could shoot. But some people can't see the forest for the trees. We tried. And we still try to send kids HBCU level players from time to time. We had another kid from Malloy who went down there. Bull played at Howard. Then we had another kid. Remember Poochie? James Logan?
Yeah.
We called him Poochie. He went to Howard and he couldn't make the team.
Oh.
What? Poochie could play, could jump out the gym, he could play. No. I'm like, what? Can't help everyone.
No, you can't. You do what you can do and put your heart out to them.
Yeah. But overall, what we tried to ingrain in our kids that basketball was not everything. And mainly we wanted to inject into them was that they have to have self-confidence, which at one point I didn't have. So I learned the importance of it. I learned the importance of hard work, which would help you gain self-confidence. And once you get self-confidence, there's nothing you can't do. So, and we also ingrained in them that it's all about family. And what we can say about most of our kids, 98% of our kids, they take care of family. They take care of their children. And I've watched some of our players, I won't call his name. One day we have a game and this kid is skating all around the court. He's like, he's on ice. I said, my man, why are you, like you're ice skating? He said, Pierre, look at my shoes, man. Look at the bottom of my shoes. When I say the bottom of the sneakers were like smooth, they were smooth and the holes were getting ready to come in. And I'm trying to take care of my daughter and paying this bill and that bill. I said, look, I'm gonna see you tomorrow. I have a bag of sneakers, a pair of sneakers in a bag, and that's gonna be for you. Don't you tell anybody. I can't buy everybody sneakers. So one day I see him at IS8. And by the way, at that time, his family was living in a garage. That's how they were surviving. They lived in a garage. Great kid. And it reminded me of my past. See, when we were kids, when you got a hole in your sneakers, you put cardboard in them.
Correct.
We used to go down to Murray's on Broadway, I think around 23rd Street, and you would get Converse sneakers. They'd have the emblem that might be messed up, the star might be messed up, and you get them for like $2 or $3 cheaper. So they were like $6.95, and you get them for like $4.95. I told my daughter one day, Daddy, you went all the way downtown to save $2? Hell yeah. As long as it wasn't raining, you could, you wore the sneakers, you couldn't wear them anymore. But $2, the Subway was 25 cents. You get home, you got $2 in your pocket. So we did everything we could to survive. So I said, my man, what you're doing, I've been through it. There's no reason you can't succeed. Okay, it ain't gonna be this way forever. I see him one day in the gym. P, I'm doing what you did. What is that? I'm giving back. I'm coaching. I'm working in the post office. And guess what? Me and my wife, we bought a house. Thank you for showing me how to do it. And thank you for showing me to have confidence and believe in myself. That's what it's all about.
Yes.
Trying to instill hope, trying to instill faith. And by the way, I'm not a minister, but the Bible, I like the concept of faith in the Bible. And what I always remember about faith is two things. You can have the faith the size of a mustard seed, you can move a mountain. But then, as well, what happens? Faith without works is what? Dead. So you can have faith, but faith alone is not enough. You got to put in the work, baby.
Yes.
That's what most of our kids put in the work. They're not putting the work in today.
That's it. They're not.
They don't put in the work. These kids, we had our kids putting in the work.
You did. And
they had Vincent was screaming at him, losing his mouth, foaming, going nuts. Kevin Jackson was screaming. And if I got to them, oh God, they didn't want to hear my mouth. Because that was like, many of them thought their name was MF, and I didn't say MF. But I didn't do it to bring them down. I brought it to understand that we got to get up. We can't stay down. We got to get up. And the other thing a lot of guys don't understand coaching, you couldn't just curse a kid out without him understanding first that you cared about him, or that you loved him, or that you wanted the best for him. You don't just curse a kid out. They have to know that you are trying to help them get to the next level. And the other thing I wish people would talk about today, I don't believe it's going away, is gambling. Back in our day, all our kids got my speech about not shaving points and explaining to them what that meant, because the average kid doesn't understand that it's wrong. And the gamblers were going at them then, and I doubt they're not doing it now. So you have to explain it to the kids. Okay, you haven't heard any controversies, but with the legal gambling and the illegal gambling and the $1 billion that's taken, that's another thing we had to explain to our kids. Thank God none of our kids got caught up in it. A couple of times we had some close calls with people approaching them at different angles. So yeah, so there's a lot to it. It's like you're like you're a what is the word? A surrogate father. And back then, a lot of the brothers were going to jail for crack, so there were no black men, Hispanic men in the neighborhood. You had mothers trying to raise boys, and it's never easy.
Exactly.
But back then, the mothers gave us carte blanche as well, though. They let us raise their boys. I'm gonna tell the story. Kamani may not like it. I'm gonna tell the story. His mother worked 2 jobs. So I'm so serious. Kamani always playful. Everything was funny. I tried to put him off the wheelchair games team in Queens because he was always playing. Hank Carter put him back on. I said, Hank saved you because you're gonna learn to take things seriously. So he goes to prep school, Governor Dummer, #1 prep school at the time. Well, I should say the oldest prep school in the country at the time. He and Carlos Perez. Do you know Carlos Perez?
I heard the name sounds familiar.
He's doing real well too, but they were there at different times. Kamani went up there and had a good time, played, and he wouldn't take things seriously. So now we have a game. We lose the game. After the game, we're having a discussion. We're talking about why we lost. He's laughing. Is everything so funny to you? Yeah, everything's funny to me. Your mother works 2 jobs. Like my mother killing us out trying to raise your black ass. That's funny. Yeah, that's funny too. Oh no, he said the wrong thing. I punched him in his chest. Bam, hard as I could. Give me a stick. I said, don't get no stick. I'll break it over your head. So that night I go home. I said, oh God, I know better than hitting somebody's son. I ain't got no right doing that. So I called his mother. I said, baby, listen, you're going to hear it from somebody else. I'm trying to call you, let you know what I did. I want you to hear it from me. And I want you to know that first and foremost, I know what I did was wrong. I'm not trying to defend what I did. And I'm apologizing to you. I know what I did was wrong. So hopefully you can accept my apology, because I kept saying, no, I did. She said, Pierre, you keep saying you just, what did you do? Knocked the shit out your son. She said, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. She said, I need that. Oh, God, can I call you? Can I call? I said, yeah. She said, you don't understand. You know, sometimes you just need a man with these boys, you know. So Kamani, I was talking to him one day, said, so, you know, Kamani, you know, you're like so-and-so. He said, I ain't like nobody but that damn Pierre. I'm hard as he is now. I became him. I said, yeah, I became the father figure who raised me, Sammy Davis Sr., who was a real tough taskmaster. I wound up becoming just like him. I couldn't take him when I was younger because he was too hard on me. But then I realized when I got older, he saved me by being hard on me, by not allowing me to make excuses, not allowing me to whine, not accepting anything but your best. And now look at Kamani, associate head coach at Connecticut. They won the championship last year. And he's a tough taskmaster.
Yes.
I think we were doing something right. I think.
And you know what? He needed that tough love. And
Yeah.
he appreciates it.
Yeah, he appreciates it now. That's for sure. He appreciated it that day.
Yes. You know, he know he was missing that father figure. He just needs somebody. He just understands that when you got on him to get your point across.
Right. You know, because
That's
what you
what a lot of kids back in your program is. You know, you fuss, you yell, you scream, cuss them out because you want to excel them.
That's right. You wanted their very best. All we wanted was their very best.
Yes.
If your very best is what you have to offer, we'll accept that. But if you're holding back, we're not going to accept that.
Correct.
Other thing we wouldn't do, and I still to this day I don't accept it. I'm down here in Delaware. I was volunteering at the high school, and I'm still, since COVID, I'm back working with kids. And I worked with some kids a couple of years ago, and we're in the gym, and a new kid comes in, and we're working with them, and he says, "Coach, I can't." Everybody said, "Oh God, oh you said the wrong thing. Oh no, don't say that." He said, "What did I say?" You said, "Can't." I said, "We don't accept that here. You understand? We don't accept can't. Because if you say you can't, you won't. It's self-fulfilling. So you can call me all kind of MFs. I may not like it. I may get back in you for saying so and so. But if you tell me you can't, I'm gonna lose my mind. Don't ever use that word around me. Okay. Because I learned, you know, when I thought I couldn't, that in fact I could. I just had to do what? Put the work in. It's all about the work, baby. And maintaining a decency. You maintain a decency, put the work in, there's nothing you can't do. But nothing comes without work. Nothing. Nothing worth having comes without work. So yeah, we feel pretty good about what we've done. And the strange thing, when we were fighting each other at the Gauchos, we used to go at it. I can't remember beating their senior team. We had them one time on the ropes, and Dave McCullough puts this kid in the third quarter. Our press is working. I'm saying to myself, finally we're going to get him. He brings this big kid off the bench, breaking our press, and they beat us. Other day, who is that? A little surprise we had for you. We're calling the Monster Man. Jamal Mashburn.
Wow.
Okay. And we used to go at it. Now I speak to Dave, you know, every a couple of times a year we'll speak, see how he's doing. He'll check on me, I'll check on him. Dave Jones, I spoke to Dave Jones the other day, and we have a relationship, you know, and a couple of the Riverside coaches, we have a relationship. And that's also good, you know. So those days were good. I heard Stefan the other day. What was it? It was something on TikTok. Marbury. There's something about. He said, "Yeah, back in the day we had Riverside, we had the Gauchos." He said, "Yeah, and we had Aim High too." It's like, yeah, they know, they know. In fact, Zach Marbury played with us, Steph's younger brother.
That's right. I remember him playing for you guys.
Yeah, yeah. So it was like it was love-hate. It was a love-hate relationship. We all wanted to win, but we all had respect for each other.
Correct.
That's so yes, it was great. Today they're telling me the problem is, I said to Kamani about 5, 6 years ago, wait, all the McDonald, all Americans are coming from the other side of the river now in Jersey. What the hell's going on? He said, yeah, there's no coaches in New York now. He said, all the guys in New York are no longer there. He said, the coaches, they're in Jersey now. The kids are learning in Jersey. They're not learning in New York. I said, damn, I couldn't understand why there would be none in New York. And across the water, 15 minutes away, you got all these great basketball players. Exactly. You used to walk by a park in New York, the parks would be teeming with basketball players. Now you walk by a park and they're empty. It's crazy. Crazy. Lost Battalion, I passed by Lost Battalion about 2 weeks ago on the way to the highway. It's boarded up.
Oh, wow.
The hell is going on in New York?
Really?
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. It was boarded up all the way around on the outside. I don't know what's going on in the inside. I hope they didn't close it down. I want to ask someone. They closed that. What are the kids going to do? Where are they going to go? We felt like it was bad when they started charging $15 membership. Some kids don't have $15 membership.
Right.
You got to go out and do something dirty to get $15 to go into a gym that used to be free. All you got to do is come in and act like you have some sense. You could go every day after school. And we had Joel. Joel worked there with Mr. B. Joel would tutor our kids. They were all school teachers in the daytime. He would tutor our kids. Anybody need any help? They would tutor the kids. When they turned 18, they had to get a voting registration card. I don't want to get a card. You don't get a card, we don't work with you. Go find somebody else. You want a jury of your peers? Only way you're going to have that if everybody registers to vote, to get the voting registration, right? Also is the jury pool. You had to explain that to them. So we try to make citizens as well. So yeah, it was a great run. Not that it's ended, because I'm still working with the kids. Vincent still works with the kids. Kevin's working down in South Carolina. He has a program down there, prep program.
Believe Prep.
Believe Prep, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so you're coaching in Delaware now? You still helping out?
I'm volunteering, working with kids, just trying to train them, showing them basics, fundamentals, things of that nature. Which a lot of kids don't have that today. Their fundamentals are like gone. They can't deny the basketball.
Yeah. You can see everything has changed. Remember the early years, there was no personal trainer and all this lift weight.
No.
Actual given ability.
There's more trainers than basketball players now.
Exactly. It's just saturated.
And they're charging money.
A lot. They ain't cheap. They charge it a lot where people can't afford.
Yeah, we didn't charge anything.
No.
No.
What happened to these times?
I don't know. I'm not saying, listen, the kid as a family can afford to pay it. That's one thing. But our kids couldn't afford it. Exactly. If they had to pay, well, if we had to pay to learn or do anything back in the day, we would have had problems. People believed in the community. People believed in helping the community. If they saw someone that had a little potential in one way or another, they would put more time into you. Yeah. They would watch your back. They would protect you. Yep.
Yeah, you guys were very dedicated your time to aim high. I give you guys all love and respect. It was great memories just watching you guys.
It was a labor of love too. So we love doing it. We love doing it.
That's what it's all about. You gotta love this.
And now we're sitting back. It's almost like we're sitting back now, just watching, and just saying, you know what? Maybe we did something right. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe all that cursing and screaming and yelling. And today you can't yell. Oh, don't yell at my kid. And, why is my kid not playing? Back then we had a guy came up to me and wanted to know why his son wasn't playing. I said, because he's not good enough. We're going to play the best kids, and we're going to prepare and bring the other kids along. And this particular kid, Vincent didn't want him on the team. Kevin didn't want him. I'm coaching this team in citywide. In fact, I had Dan Abrams on that team. And I said to the kid, he wanted to play. I said, look, they're not going to put you down. I'm going to put you with me. You're going to be in the gym working. Now, in the games, you're not going to play unless we get a big lead or somebody has foul trouble, because these games are pretty tight citywide. They're not pushovers. You're not ready for some of this. If you can't understand that, then don't take the shirt. No, I want to be on the team. You're going to learn more from working out than playing. We're in a game, hotly contested game. Pierre, when am I getting in the game? You're not getting in this game. Don't you understand that? So the kid says, that's effed up. He didn't say that. I said, yeah. No, what's effed up? You got on my shirt. Give me my effing shirt. Get off this bench. Father comes, what's the problem, my son? I said, it don't have to be a problem. If you want it to be a problem, we can go there. So I didn't have many of those problems. Back then, we'd go right at it if they had a problem. But most parents, no, I said after that, I was like, this changing. Then you can start seeing when it started changing. Kids thought they had a right to play because they won. No, you have no right to play. First of all, you haven't paid any money. We're putting you on there because I want to see you progress over the next year or so. You're not ready. I want you in the practices. But then they felt they had a right. And I started seeing it change. started seeing it change. And then one day, Ernie Lorch ran Riverside. And we were pretty much enemies. But we would speak. He said, remember back in the day, Pierre, when you wanted parents to come to the games and support the kids, and they didn't come? I said, yeah. He said, I wish those days would come back when the parents didn't come to the games. Now they're coming to the games, and all their kids should be the next LeBron James or so-and-so. They think oh God, he said it's really hard. The parents are crazy. It's getting worse. And yeah. Now they're telling me all the parents are looking to get NIL money before the kids can even bounce a ball. So it's amazing.
It's out of control.
Yeah. So I don't know. I still love the game. And I got a nephew I'm working with in New Rochelle. It's going to be pretty good. And I got a grandson, 6 months old. So I'm trying to stick around to get him started at least.
Right. Yes. Like the same thing. I'm trying to get my grandson to play, and he's 5 years old.
Yeah, see? Yeah.
We definitely are on the same track right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a beautiful game, basketball. And it's like a game of life. That's how we look at it. It's a game of life.
Yes.
And I never forget Kenny Smith saying one thing one day. He was at one of our practices and he spoke to the kids. He said, look, it's real simple. If you're disciplined on the court, you're disciplined off the court.
Right.
Vice versa. One doesn't happen without the other. It's about being disciplined. And basketball would teach you nothing else. It's going to teach you to be disciplined.
Correct.
So there's a lot of rules we have to understand and accept if you want to play this game. There are a lot of rules that you have to begin to accept if you want to play the game of life, if you want to succeed in life. So they go hand in hand. But the very most important one, I think, is hard work. Hard work. No matter what, you can't, you gotta fight through it. Just keep going. Pursue. Yes, so yeah.
Also, another guy who coached with you guys too was Roy Beekman. He coached with you guys.
Yeah, but I brought Roy into. I spoke to Roy's memorial service. Well, actually, the funeral. Well, been in Corona. I mentioned that Roy and I knew Roy since he was about 14. Him and Ray Martin. In fact, I got them. They got their youth board papers, I think, a little early on, I think a year earlier than they were supposed to, because of somebody I know. Anyway, we had issues. Roy had issues. So one day I said, Roy, listen, I want you to work with us. And I think if you work with us, a lot of things that you're dealing with, will go away and you'll be all right. But you got to promise me, if we get involved with us, some of the other stuff you're thinking about doing, you don't do no more. He was like, yo, P, I can get down with aim high, P. I said, yeah, I want you down, but I want the Roy I knew when you were 14 years old. I want the Roy I know now. And I think it saved him. He was good. Remember, he won Hostos. I think he won a couple of Hostos championships.
And he was coaching as he was an assistant, then he later on became head coach. One of those years was
When he became the head coach.
yes,
Yeah.
Coach Holford brought him on board. And then he climbed to the ladder, became head coach. That I know he coached at Westbury
That's
and
right.
community college.
Yeah, in Long Island, yeah. And
See,
the Nassau last. He did a lot of recruiting out there. They won too. Yeah.
they
He was,
did once again, yes.
yeah.
Roy shared a lot of things with me about his journey too. And
Yeah.
this is something me and Roy talked. We was gonna do some things together. And it's just see, this is why I like this platform. I never got a chance to speak like for Roy to share his journey. He had a great journey. We
Oh
talked.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And I know some stuff was confidential with me and him. I didn't want to
Me
put
too. Me too. Me too.
but
Because
we
yeah,
had a relationship for a long time, for a few years, like in the late 2000s.
yeah. And his closest friend, we talk almost every day, Ray Martin. I spoke to Ray.
Yes.
We spoke to Ray twice before. I had to say, Ray, I got to get off the phone. I got to get ready for this program that I'm doing it at 2 o'clock. And they were like brothers. They were very close. Very.
Every
In
type
fact,
of
after Ray called me that night, he said, "Yo, P, man, we lost Roy. What are you talking about?" He said, "I was watching the game. We're talking, and everything's good." And 11 o'clock, I think we hung up, and I get a call from his girl at 3 or 4 in the morning. Somebody he's gone. I mean, he was fine. He was fine. I was like, oh, couldn't believe it. Couldn't
it
believe
was really surprising. It was, yeah, he was, God bless his soul.
He was like a little brother to me. We used to go to Reach Beach. One day we went to Reach Beach and played ball. Never lost a game on Reach Beach. Go out to Reach Beach, come home. He said, "Yo, P, yo, man, I wore my sneakers out." He had a pair of Converse on, right? One day on the beach, he wore the sneakers out. He said, "I can't believe I wore a pair of sneakers out in one day." I said, "Yeah, that beach is hot. The ground is hot." And we kept winning and winning and winning. I said, "Yeah, you wear them out." He was a good brother, though. Good brother.
Rest in peace to Roy Beekman.
And he said, "Yo, P, tell him, man, I could play, couldn't I?" I said, "You could play, Roy. You could definitely play. He could play. Back in the day, he could play. He was good." Call him Little Joe Hammond. They call me Little Joe. I said, I know that.
I didn't know they called him Ice. He was known as Ice.
Ice, yeah, Ice. Yeah, yeah, good guy, good guy.
Yeah.
I knew his brother, father, yeah, sisters, yeah, good guy.
Right. A couple of my neighbors were good friends with him. Also, Greg Coles. He was
I know Greg. I don't know him that well, but I know Greg, yeah, from Elmport.
Monte Christi, yes.
Played together, yeah, in Matter Christi, yeah. They just had a big reunion a couple of months ago. Matter Christi and St. John's Prep. A lot of guys. Yeah.
Yeah. So a
I
couple of
think it was the Elmport against the elected officials a few years ago. That was funny. Lucius and Hank had us play against these elected officials, assemblymen. Yeah, me and Greg put on a little show.
Oh wow. Yeah.
I asked him about that, yeah.
Lucius Benson, right?
Benson, yeah.
Yes, he's still alive. He's alive and well. I was wondering, people were wondering what happened to him in the community.
Struggling. He and Hank are very close. Hank Carter. Hank is like my big brother.
Yes.
So Lucas is struggling. He's struggling, but he's still making it. He's struggling, but he's making it.
Right.
Very, very good man. Very good man.
But
and we had 50 years. This year was the 50th anniversary of Wheelchair Classic.
great.
50 years. 50 years. Can you imagine?
Wow. 50. That was a great classic.
Oh my God.
A lot of people don't know about it these days. That was one of the top classic, that and Golden Hoops.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh,
you guys played in that tournament too.
He played in the Golden Hoops, yeah. He played in the hoops.
Yes.
Kamani honored us. He gave Vincent and I Lifetime Achievement Awards when he was running the Golden Hoops. Kamani.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I did see that picture. Now you mention it.
Yeah. Kamani, it was Kamani, Vincent, myself.
Yeah. Oh, just a second. We lost. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we got cut off here. Sorry about that.
Right.
Yeah, so thank you for sharing a lot of things. Before we go, I want to ask you, what is your greatest basketball moment of all time?
Wow.
Out of all the moments, what is the one greatest moment?
Ooh wee. Ooh wee. That's rough. So many, we had so many great moments. Goodness. I want to, boy, it was, I guess the biggest game we went to was being at the Final Four with Kenny Anderson when they played against Las Vegas. Even though they lost, it was still tremendous experience. I mean, it's just mind-boggling, the Final Four and what, you know, what it means to everybody in basketball. Uh,
Yes.
but also, we had some great moments in citywide. Malloy, when Kenny was younger, you know, his freshman year, he was all city and won the state championship. That was big. That was very big. Um, boy, that might have been a big one when they won the city championship. Uh, my nephew played it in Forest Hills when they went to the Garden in the finals. They lost in the finals. Um, that was big. They lost to Grady in the finals.
Okay.
Daryl Pell. Uh, that was big. The game they won to go to the Garden was big at St. John's. I forget who they played in that game. That was a big game. That was exciting. We've had so many exciting games. My goodness. My goodness. One of the games that was exciting, I wasn't even there. We had a 3-on-3 game. Kevin and George, and three of the other. I had to go to my daddy Sam's funeral in California. Another guy had a funeral, so only two guys could come to the New York City Championship in the 3-on-3 contest, and they had it uptown, 127th Street. So Mr. B went to the game. Remember Mr. B from Lost Battalion, Mr.
Yeah.
Benjamin. So he went to the game. So he called me. I was in California, and I knew what happened, but he didn't even know till he got home. My cousin called me. They brought some guys in. These guys in Lost Battalion who worked in the Parks Department brought some guys in from Chicago to play against us in the championship game, and they were good. So when they realized we only had two players, they said, "Well, I guess you guys want to forfeit." So George and Kevin said, "No, we're here. We'll play. We'll play 2 against 3." So Mr. B said he left because he didn't want to see us lose like that. He gets home and guy calls him, "Hey, Ben, why'd you leave?" So well, I know those guys, you know, George and Kevin. I couldn't stand there and watch them play against, you know, 4 or 5 other guys, 3 at a time. I didn't want to see them lose like that. He said, "Ben, they won." He said, "What do you mean they won? Those guys were good." He said, "Ben, they won." He said, "How the hell did they win?" And here you go, basketball knowledge. Kevin and George are basketball players. I said, "What did y'all do?" He said, "George, we're going to do split the court. They're going to double team one of us. Whoever gets double teamed is going to take the other guy one-on-one." And that's what we did. They double Kevin, George went to the basket. They double George, Kevin went to the basket. Time they woke up and realized what was going on, it was too late. They said the whole park went crazy. I would have, but if I was there, it would have been 3-on-3. But just to imagine you beating 3 players who were sent in on airplanes to play against you who could play, and you win 2 against 3. I love the concept of understanding the game. How many guys do you think would have done that? Would have figured it out that fast on the fly? See,
Not
that's
many.
the game above the neck. And they were bigger, more athletic. But George Abrams could play.
Oh yeah, he was.
Kevin, yeah, and Kevin could play. So
Yeah.
the two of them, with their brains together, were able to outplay and outmaneuver 3 more athletic guys. And the other guys had subs, by the way.
Mm,
So that was a big game that I wasn't there. And
wow.
we won in Tahoe. That was big. We went out to Tahoe and we lost the first game. So you can't lose any other games. And we lost the first game. After the first game we lost, we won every other game. And they had guys coming in from San Jose State, all these West Coast guys that could play. But that New York game, they couldn't understand it. It was a whole nother mentality.
Right.
Not refusing to lose. That's what it was like. We refused to lose.
Yes.
Mike Hayes. I don't know if you know Mike Hayes. Mike Hayes is from White Plains. He could play.
I don't remember Mike Hayes. No.
Good player. Yeah. That's a rough one. That's, oh boy. I'll think about that later on. This will say, well, what about that game? You forgot about that game? When I say to him what the question was, and I'll say, Vince, I forgot about that game. Yep. Some great games in Malloy and Tallentine. There were some great games against Malloy.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing a documentary on the Catholic school thing too. So I've gotten to speak with Kenny Anderson, Brian Reese.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and Derek Phelps. So those are some
Yeah,
classics.
Derek Phelps. Oh, man. Oh, please, come on. Going back. Oh, yeah. I love Derek Phelps' game. Yeah, boy. Another good ball player. He didn't play with anybody. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Good and good kid too. Really good kid. Really good kid. Yeah. And Christ the King was tough back then.
Oh yeah, they were good. Yes.
Christ the King and Malloy every year, they were tough. Christ the King. Oh my goodness. Oh, they were tough. Tough. Yeah. Any more questions?
No, Pierre, I want to say thank you for coming on. I enjoyed listening to your journey. It's been a blessing. You've been
so much we didn't discuss. There's so much more.
Hey, you discuss a lot of stuff, and I enjoyed it. You made a difference in people's lives, and that's just so important.
Well, people made a difference in my life, and I'm going to end with this. Sammy Davis Sr. basically changed my life. I was at a point where my mother we had nowhere to live, and he came and got me my little sister. He raised her as his daughter, and I was like his son. And one day I'm a grown man, and I said to him, what can I do to repay you? He said, you don't owe me anything. But if you want to repay me, help someone else. That's all you can do for me, help someone else. And that's what we tried to do. We tried to help someone else. I think that's critical.
Exactly.
If anything, that's my reason for being. As the French would say, my raison d'etre. That's my reason for being. I believe that. That's why I think the man upstairs has spared me from time to time.
Amen.
Okay. That's it. Help someone else. Help someone else.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you once again, Pierre, for sharing your story.
Thank you, Chris.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So that is the end of our show. And I'd like to thank you for tuning in to the Hoop Post Talk Show. And we'll see you next time. Take care.
Great. Take care of yourself.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Chris. Bye-bye.